All right. Imagine taking a trip across the stars, across the galaxy, and this is where you arrive. This right here is the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda in Marvel Rivals. And the first time I actually slowed down and looked at this map, I actually started noticing some interesting stuff here. Like, this isn't just another multiplayer battlefield for you to scream at your teammates in. It actually feels like a real location inside of Wakanda's universe. So what I wanted to do here was explore the map a little bit differently and really look at the details. Because there's a lot here that's easy to miss when you're just focused on the match and trying to grind your elo. One of the coolest things about this map is how it's really structured. When you explore it a little bit more slowly, you start to realize it's actually moving through different layers of Wakandan culture. At the top, you got the stellar spaceport, obviously, and it's floating high above the planet. And below that, you got Burning T'Challa. This is a ceremonial area that's tied to Wakandan culture, clearly, if you've seen the films or if you're up on Wakandan lore. It's really traditional. And beyond that, you have the Imperial Institute of Science. And this is where the Wakandans are using their technology to study the chronovibranium situation that they got going on in this Marvel Rivals timeline. So the map almost feels like a vertical slice of Wakandan civilization. You go from space travel to tradition to advanced science all in one match without really noticing it because you're moving at 100 miles an hour and destroying everything, right? But the first place that you can start exploring is the stellar spaceport. And this place instantly gives me the feeling that it was designed for travelers arriving from across the galaxy. They got massive docking platforms, wide walkways, and viewing areas where people could stand and actually take in the skyline of Wakanda. So you don't land into Wakanda in itself, it's almost like a checkpoint. And when you look out into space from here, you can see the massive base structure floating nearby. It feels like it's right in your face. It is an amazing set piece. But later when you explore the lower parts of the map, you realize just how far away this thing actually is. But the more that you actually walk through the stellar spaceport, the more the little details start to jump out at you. There are kiosks scattered throughout the area, right? And some of them actually show departure and arrivals, just like the boards you would see in an airport. Once you notice that, the entire place starts to take on a different form. This isn't just a futuristic platform. This is like a real travel hub where ships arrive, ships depart, and travelers move through Wakanda on their way across the galaxy. And around those kiosks, you can actually see vendor stands in areas that feel like markets. Places where travelers can actually grab some food, pick up some Wakanda souvenirs, or just relax before their next journey. But when you move down from the stellar spaceport, the environment shifts into something completely different. You leave the futuristic stuff alone and you enter a place tied more closely to Wakandan tradition. And this is Burning T'Challa. Now, Burning T'Challa feels like a ceremonial battle area, which it is if you've seen the films and how they get down over there. But this is where they have the ritual challenge for the throne. This is a place where warriors fight for the right to become the Black Panther himself. And throughout this area, you see statues representing Bast, and even statues tied to the Jabari tribe with M'Baku. Even the walls tell stories up in here. You can see tribal drawings depicting warriors battling and figures receiving the mantle of Black Panther. The entire environment feels deeply connected to Wakandan culture and the history. It's almost like a representation of the traditions that really shaped up the whole nation and made Wakanda what it is. But if Burning T'Challa is representing the past and kind of like the culture, then the Imperial Institute of Science represents the future of the whole thing. Now, this is a research center where the Wakandans are using their technology to deal with the chronovibranium situation that they got going on in the Marvel Rivals timeline. But even when you step into this research center, the environment just shifts all over again. Everything starts to feel really technological, as if the spaceport wasn't enough. But at the starting point of this map, you start to notice that this is half laboratory and half bedroom. You can actually see an unmade bed at the top and Shuri's shoes sitting right at the foot of it, which makes it feel like she's barely leaving the lab trying to solve the whole chronovibranium thing that they got going on. Really nice environmental storytelling here. But at the center of this institute, you got the chronovibranium experiment itself. It's right there. It's a massive device that fills the entire room, and it shows just how serious the research effort is. And in the main workspace area, you see huge server systems, and it just shows how much infrastructure the Wakandans are putting into this whole project that they have going on. But even though this is a lab and it's all about technology, Wakandan culture is still present. It's still at the core of everything. There are Wakandan symbols and writing embedded into the architecture itself. Even across the ceiling, you see Wakandan symbols floating. And by far, one of the coolest moments happens when you look back upward from this lower level, because you can now see the stellar spaceport far above you. That giant vast structure that looked massive when you were right next to it looks incredibly distant now. And it really shows just how large this environment actually is. Man, when you look at these areas all together, the map starts to feel like more than just like a multiplayer battlefield where you scream at your friends. You got the stellar spaceport connecting Wakandas to the galaxy. You got the Burning T'Challa representing the culture and the tradition. And you got the Imperial Institute of Science, but Wakanda's future is being built through this technology. It almost feels like the map shows the past, the present, and the future of Wakanda all in one spot. And honestly, that's the kind of thing I really enjoy noticing about game worlds. When you slow down and you actually explore the environment, you start realizing that these places are designed like real locations out here, not just arenas for players to fight in. And the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda map in Marvel Rivals is a really cool example of all of this happening at once. So next time you're playing here, take a moment, look around, breathe, and you might notice a lot more than you expected.